Good morning, starshine.
Welcome to the real world. Whoa!
Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with
Breathe air.
there's no second best, okay?
GM. Friday, 9th of August, trade of the day. All right, so first of all, I have opened a swing trade long, as mentioned in the swing trader chat yesterday. And this is where I update any of my lower time frame trades, wherever it is here, there. Mentioned it at the time when we had this 1 hour impulse candle yesterday, before the main stream. If you look at it over here, it was based on this move. So let me take that off and move it over the side. That impulse candle. So a couple of things I saw. If you remember, we were looking at this impulse when price traded into it. That was a good sign. Tried to break down, got back inside, consolidated. Two things that I really like that give me a system trigger. We had a false breakout here. We came back inside, we held, and then we had an impulse, high volume candle to break out to the upside. They often lead to immediate continuation. So my initial trade was exactly that. Stop at the impulse low and get in right away into a swing trade. I then compounded it. Later on, as price continued to break higher, I moved my stop loss up. Stop loss moved up to this level. So basically, and anyone in swing trade, initially stop was there, stop has now moved to there, and I expect Bitcoin to continue. Now, that's in that channel and not in trading analysis for a very good reason. If you're not a blue belt yet and you can't see that channel, don't worry. The point is, everyone is wondering, when am I going to buy my coins back? When am I going to buy my spot back? This is not that. I do not post stuff like this in trading analysis because I could have closed that trade. If this, basically, right, after that pump, if price had went like that, I would have closed it. I would have got stopped out or closed it because it's a swing trade. It's a 1 hour chart. So I don't post this stuff in trading analysis because somebody might read it and think, oh, Michael's bought back. I need to buy all my coins back. Don't want that. Very different, right? My trades will go in the trading chats, scalper and day trading, swing trading. That's where I post about my trades, right? And then, of course, anything I do with my coins, like I did on Friday, trading analysis, that I'm selling my coins. When I buy them back, I'll tell you in that chat. So, to be clear. But to get into those chats, get yourself to blue belt. If you're not blue belt yet, you know what to do. Now, that trade is separate. I want to just look at what happens here in these low volume moves up. So, right. So we had the low volume move, and if I go and look at it over here, what I was talking about on daily levels, I think eventually we can come back to this green zone for sure. I just don't think it's going to happen right now, and I'll explain why. First of all, we have levels above that have not been retested yet, which I think we can. The recession fears and the yen trade and the previous value area, I think we can push up into that. Now, we might reject higher, but I think it will go higher in the near term. And one of the reasons being is this: volume. High volume at the end of a trend indicates trend completion. So let's go 4 hour chart. Let's zoom out. Look at this. So the same way that Bitcoin just grinded down. When did it bottom? When did we finally bottom out? When we had massive volume capitulation candles. These two high volume candles, and then an attempt to go lower and a strong rejection, reversal. That was the bottom. After sustained trends in one direction or the other, they usually top on high volume, because high volume indicates a high amount of buying and selling. And if you've had a particularly fearful downwards market or a particularly euphoric upwards market, the people who sell last usually sell by liquidations or in panic. That's why it creates a bottom. Now, the same logic applies on the way up. The fact we're bouncing on lower volume tells me that the market has not fully FOMO'd back in yet. Do you understand? So when you've low volume on the way up, and then you have these tops forming, like we've seen, and this little spike up here and up into this high and pulling back, I don't see any signs here of mass hysteria or people having to FOMO in or panic or get back in. So there's two ways this can go. If it's bearish, I think we form a distribution top around here, which could look something like this. Maybe it drops down into this gap, chops around, squeezes up, does that kind of thing, right? That's how I would expect it to top. And so in that case, there will be an attempt to go higher. And that would be the one, if that rejects, then I would close my trade, specifically, right? And it doesn't have to drop down. I'm just saying that's how a distribution top would look like after a rally up. You know, if you want to look at some of these comparisons of moves, like even over here, right? This rally up, we had a second push, it failed, that was the weakness. If it's going to go higher, you have these moves up like this. You have your move up, price tries to break out, it tries to sweep the highs here, it doesn't, it goes higher. It is a slow pullback, comes into support, goes higher again, and this is where you get a move that takes even longer. This was still distribution, but if you're looking at an equivalent, where are we now? We're at the first impulse. The first breakout rally is here. That's like where we're at now. Look how long Bitcoin took. It went higher once, twice, 3 times, dropped off, 4 times, 5 times before it eventually broke down. It doesn't have to do 5 pushes. That's not the point here. The point is, when you have a move in one direction or the other, people tend to fade it like right away. They miss this rally. Most people miss this rally. You can tell they missed the rally because the volume is lower. There's certainly not anywhere near as much participation on this rally as previous rallies. So the people who missed it, what do they want to do now? Do they want to get long? No, they probably want to short. Like, oh, well, that was it. They're squeezed out. Shorts are gone, blah, 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 whatever. The time at which people will want to buy next is the next breakout. That's how, you know, the retail, dumb money logic, whatever you want to call it, exit liquidity, they'll want to buy the next breakout. And if that rejects, that's your clear sign of a top, a local top, and a pullback. So I'm not saying that this is definitely going to moon. It could. Hopefully it does. Hopefully we squeeze up and have a nice push higher for the sake of my swing long. But if it doesn't, I think it will reject 63 and fall back down. The odds after these type of moves, when you have not seen a big volume push, you have not seen a low time frame sign of a big flush to the upside, would indicate that we at least push one more time higher. So if it hits higher, rejects, that'd be a shorting opportunity or closing out the longs, like the red path. And then if it does more what I think it's going to do, which is grind a bit higher and push up into some of these levels before a pullback, then that's going to take a bit more time. That could take another week or so. So there are the 2 paths I see as most likely. Both paths would tell me to remain long. And if you want to then look at like low time frame, how to actually trade this, we'll get onto your low time frame and look at some of these levels here. There is a big 15-minute breakout impulse candle. That impulse candle should probably hold. If we're bullish, this candle holds, right? So if we're bullish, that candle continues to be support. And you would see this as either bottoming out here, right, and rising up, or we sweep down into it, we hold it. But basically, like an order block, it doesn't fill it fully, it fills part of it, it holds, it holds, it holds. That would be like a bullish continuation. That's probably where you can go quite a bit higher. If it's bearish, your best entry point for a long would actually be back to this origin, right, this block of demand down here. You would look at, as Bitcoin is it is sort of low time frame distributing here. It's sideways and sideways, sideways, weakening and weakening. It might need to go a little bit lower. If it drops down into that and people start to panic, you get long once you see a sign of reversal, right? Let it go down. Once it starts to break structure bullish, you get long, your target's the highs. That would probably be a sign of further downside to come, but the best trade is still a long, right? If it hits down into this previous support level, holds it, comes back up, that's when you can see a long trade being on the table. So those are the trade ideas or price paths that I'm expecting as most likely. Nothing's obviously ever certain, but that would be what I'm looking at going into today and going into the weekend. So that's where we're at. GM. See you later on the live stream. Casual Fridays, 4 p.m. UTC. GM.